Okay, so presidential debate number two. This is actually the second video, excuse me, made on this. I decided to make another video because my last one was made literally minutes after the event, and I I was responding just to my immediate thoughts. This video is still somewhat about my basic thoughts as opposed to really in depth. But obviously, in the 12 hours since then, I've had time to focus on some of the talking points around it. The networks are, of course, micro-analyzing everything that's been said. Um, who won the debate? Well, that's a question I'm actually reluctant to answer because I really think with these things in terms of who wins, who loses, it's really is down to perception. If you're a Trump supporter, you're going to say Trump won. If you're a Clinton supporter, you're going to say Clinton won. So when it comes to winning, it's very difficult to, people are always going to have a sort of, they're going to have blinders on depending on where their sympathies lie. There was, of course, this big development just before the debate in St. Louis. I'm not sure if that's the first time there's been a presidential debate in St. Louis or not. But anyway, there was a big development just before this debate where Trump actually invited some of the women who have been accusing Bill Clinton of sexual improprieties and worse, more serious allegations even than that, to a press conference. This was like half an hour before the debate. This was extraordinary. I've never ever seen anything like this. I've seen lots of presidential debates. I've never seen anything like this. Um, some of those women have been in the news before because of their allegations against Bill Clinton, Paula Jones, Kathleen Willey, and others. Now, these are not small allegations. These are quite serious allegations. And personally, I'm skeptical of Trump's motivation in doing it. I think it was to deflect from his video. But that doesn't make their allegations any less serious. I don't know whether it's meant to sort of portray him in a good light, like, this is me sort of letting these women who have been victims have a voice. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But I think it is blatantly opportunism on Trump's part there. And the fact he invited them to the presidential debate, now they're entitled to be there, they're American citizens. But whether that was to get Clinton off track or not, I don't know. If that was the plan, it didn't quite work. Having said that, there was a very clear tension in that debate that wasn't there in the first debate, and I've never seen anything like that in any presidential debate I've watched. And there's been tense moments in the past. I've never seen anything like that. There was one point where the coverage I was watching didn't show Bill Clinton, but I saw another video that did, and naturally looked very awkward when his name was brought up. Indeed, at the beginning of the debate, when he shook hands with Melania Trump and the Trump children, you could cut the ice with a pickaxe. It was really... and notably, the two candidates didn't shake hands. Again, I've never seen that before. It may seem like a minor thing, but I think this is all telling. I think both Clinton and Trump knew that the video would come up. So with that in mind, in fact, CNN's just showing a broadcast. I've got it on mute. And it basically is Pence sticking with... Not sure if you could see that. Obviously, they're going to analyse and microanalyze. Yeah, but I think both candidates knew that video was going to come up. Now, under the circumstances, I think Trump handled himself pretty well, insofar as he seemed relatively in control by Trump's standards. He did interrupt a lot, although he made that accusation against the moderators, and certainly some of his supporters have. I'm going to come to the issue of moderator bias, or at least media bias, towards the end of this video, so please stay tuned. That's a very important issue, and there is a huge thing I want to talk about, but I'm just going to cover this debate first. Were the moderators in the debate biased? Well, some would say they were, because when Trump supporters clapped, Anderson Cooper ticked them off. I'm not so sure about that. They made very clear at the start of the debate that nobody should be interrupting from the audience. Now, that's a very fair request, because obviously it's for TV viewers to watch and millions of people around the United States and the world to watch. So that was a fair request, and they broke that twice. Clinton's side also did, so I guess they're saying that he didn't tell them to be quiet at that point. Trump at one point says that's great, 3-on-1, but he was doing a lot of interrupting of his own. Now, there's a bit that surprised me when the issue of emails came up. What I do during this is I take notes, but anyway, when the issue of emails came up, I'm quite surprised Trump didn't focus more on that. He did mention Bill Clinton, and that was a real sledgehammer blow. I don't think Clinton helps her case when she sort of laughs when serious allegations are made against her. For example, when Trump accused her of being an enabler, that's a pretty serious allegation. No doubt CNN will dig up footage of what Trump really thought of the women back in 1998. But that to me is less of an issue. Okay, perhaps he is being opportunistic, but the allegations he is making against Hillary Clinton, that she laughed at a rape victim, is very, very serious. And the fact that she was laughing at it, also, she just said, oh, well, nothing he said is true, and then she quickly changed the subject. Wasn't very convincing. Bearing in mind that Hillary Clinton has a major trust deficit, I think she could be on the defensive a bit more. She needs to be, because I think the Clinton side is sort of taking it for granted that some of these polls are insisting that she won. CNN, of course, is doing that, and I'm going to come to that in a minute. I've already made a video about CNN's bias, or perceived bias, and I think that is becoming more and more blatantly obvious by the day. In terms of policy, which of course should be the main issue, there was one point, incidentally, Trump had quite a strong line where he said, I said stupid things, Bill Clinton acted on them. Now, initially I thought, well, you're attacking Hillary because of her husband, but the more serious allegation here is that he is accusing her of being an enabler, and I don't think that she's sufficiently answered to that claim. It's a very serious claim, especially as she pertains to be this great speaker for women's rights, which demonstrates hypocrisy, but also bullying on her part, if that's true. I don't know if it's true, but that's what Trump has alleged. There's serious allegations, and I don't think she's sufficiently answered that. On the email point, I think he probably pleased some of his base with bringing that up again, because that is a major issue for the Republicans, and I think he probably would have pleased some of his base. In policy, Clinton is an immaculate politician. She always comes prepared. On the question of Syria, like I said, I take notes on these things. I took one issue with one thing Trump said. He said that Bashar Assad is killing ISIS. He also used ISIS at the start of the debate to put things in context. I'm not sure if that strategy was right or not. Talking about the brutality of ISIS to deflect from the embarrassment of his video. I suppose it is. It's important because that's, it's a major issue. But he mentioned that Assad is killing ISIS. But to me, that's sort of towing the regime's line. The truth of the matter is, since the start of the Syrian civil war, the Assad regime has been targeting every and all Syrians who oppose the regime and has killed many, many civilians. So Trump has to be very careful. He said he doesn't like Assad, but he has to be very careful not to just look like he's towing the regime's propaganda, because that's how it sounded to me. On the other hand, I think Clinton had a weak answer when it came to the issue of Islamophobia. Now, that's the subject I take a bit of issue with. The woman had a right to ask the question. It's a legitimate enough question. I'm sure anti-Muslim bigotry does exist. Trump perhaps could have given a slightly better answer, where he probably should have said, I condemn anti-Muslim bigotry, something along those lines. But he did raise an important point. He said that both Clinton and Obama will not use the term radical Islamic terror. Now, that is a problem. And when you look at the sort of things that ISIS is doing, when you look at the sort of fascist thuggery they come out with, all Clinton and Obama ever say about this is, oh, they're terrorists. They will not call the problem what it is. That is one area where I think Trump and the Republicans are right. And I don't agree with them on much, but that is one area I think they're right. I think part of the problem with Donald Trump is that he lets his mouth run, and then he sort of he sets him up to be ridiculed by seasoned politicians like Clinton. So when he says things like we're going to ban Muslims, he may not have meant that literally, but in this 24-hour era, every little soundbite is picked up. So I don't think Trump is the best communicator. He's good at revving up his base, but there's been so many occasions where he has said things that he's later said were taken out of context. Too many to say were simply chumps. So who won the debate? Again, it comes down to perception. I think both candidates knew this was going to be a tense debate, and it was. And I'm sure as I look at it more times, there'll be many more things to say about this. I will say one thing, this is very important, and I hope you've watched the video up to this point. This is extremely important. Someone posted a video, and it was basically focusing on the so-called undecided voters. Now, I was quite shocked when I saw this. And basically, there was a woman from CNN, I think it was Dana Bash, not 100% sure, but I think it was Dana Bash. She was caught on the open mic. The irony of that, the open mic, which is exactly what Trump's in hot water for. She was caught on open mic whispering to these undecided voters something. Now, I've watched that several times, many times in fact, and I can't get my head around there not being something seriously wrong with that. This was seconds before the camera shot in, and then this black woman said that she thought, forget the exact words, but Trump was performed badly or something like that. Now, I have looked at that many times. I'm going to put a link in this video. I'll let you judge for yourself, but there is something very suspicious about that, as if CNN has coerced those so-called undecided voters to be pro-Clinton. If that's the case, it's a complete and utter disgrace. I think this is a very serious problem because Trump has long accused the media of being against him, and I've always said that he's largely responsible for for a lot of the controversies he gets into, and I stand by that. I think he has said some very stupid things over the campaign. Having said that, the sort of thing CNN is coming out with is a disgrace. They actually had a video which pertained to be Trump lurking behind Hillary Clinton in this debate. Now, I watched the whole debate. He was pacing around a bit, like every presidential candidate has ever done in these debates. And they actually had this Jaws-like music. This is supposed to be a professional network. And they were implying that he was lurking behind her. Apparently, it was actually at his podium. Where else is he supposed to go? This is a sort of gutter journalism that, frankly, TMZ would be proud of. I was, and this is happening every single day. I've said it before, Trump does enough embarrassing things himself. He says enough embarrassing things without this being necessary. CNN has proven beyond doubt in this election cycle that they are unashamedly pro-Clinton. Now, I would usually say that Fox is in favour of the other candidate. I think they are very pro-Republican. Not so sure about being pro-Trump. But the sort of bias CNN is being come out with is an utter disgrace. They've no right to call themselves a professional news network. I'm not so sure if there was bias within the debate itself, but some of the things that have been going on around this, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So, I've never seen anything like that. That was more like a reality TV show than a presidential debate. Nigel Farage was right in his prediction that there would be a big focus on the viral video more than hard policy. Unbelievable. I imagine the viewer figures for this are even going to surpass the first debate. So I'm going to round this up. In short, I think Trump done as well as he could do under the circumstances. But he did get into classic Trump in terms of, he interrupted Clinton more than she interrupted him. Don't think anyone could dispute that. But she wasn't particularly strong in defending her corner and the allegations against her. She dismissed them. And they're very serious allegations. On policy, like I said, I think Clinton is a more seasoned politician, but Trump is right about the threat from radical Islamist terror. You know, I'm not going to say Clinton isn't going to take that on, but if you're not prepared to call a problem what it is, that's politically correct nonsense. Neither of them really give a good answer to the Muslim woman. They should have got a balanced answer. Clinton just went into politically correct mode and was like, "Oh, we're all going to love each other and dance around in a circle and sing kumbaya." I shouldn't say that, but that's the point. That's the sort of implication she made. Trump completely ignored her concerns. What I would have said is, I appreciate your concerns as a Muslim American, and I want you to feel included, and I condemn anti Muslim bigotry, but we do have a problem with radical Islamist terror, and Muslims have to acknowledge this problem. That's what I would have said. So that's just some of my thoughts. I hope you've watched the whole way through this video. If you have, I thank you. Final points. I don't want to sound like I'm being sort of like, I'm aware this is the American election. Obviously, I don't have a vote. And I'm not trying to make out that I think this is any worse than our system. I believe our own debate structure was a mess the last time around. That's my thoughts. This was, on one hand, it was depressing viewing because that is what the situation has come to. On the other hand, it was undoubtedly compelling viewing. There is, incidentally, a bit of focus on this guy on a lighter hearted note, Kevin Bowen. He was one of the questioners. CNN's focusing on him right now. He's kind of become the Joe LaPlumber, I guess, of this election cycle. See what that leads. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. That is my summary of this second presidential debate. Thanks for watching.